Good morning to you in the States. Good afternoon to you in Europe. Welcome aboard. It is the end of the third quarter and it is the end of the month. Yeah, interesting session. How are you doing today at the end of the quarter, Shane?
Oh, not doing too bad. Just taking a look at these inflation numbers. I saw there was a few out during the overnight, sort of perusing this core PCE release we've been talking so much about the last few days in the room. Prices are high, Nick. Prices are high on this side of the pond. How's it looking over there?
Yeah, I mean, it has been. Thankfully, it has been a slightly quieter end to the week in Europe. We have had quite a slew of data out though in Europe today. A few interesting things to note in itself. We have had inflation data above expectations for Europe, 10% off the previous 9.1. We've had unemployment is steady, thankfully. Core inflation is the worry, though, up to 4.8 from 4.3. Now, Italian inflation is also a potential worry. That's up today as well, 8.9 off the previous 8.4. But, a relatively contained market reaction. Euro moved around about 120 pips today on the session so far. So not a great deal of activity before the end of the month anyway. But a couple of comments out of Riksbank about the Swiss franc, with the Swiss franc being a weak Swiss franc not being particularly welcome. And the last thing to mention is a potential price cap on Russian gas, but no unified consensus as yet. But those inflation numbers, it's hot inflation over here in Europe, and with those PCE numbers out in the States, it looks like it's a very similar deal over there as well.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, the core PC report for August hit the wires, I don't know, what, about 40 minutes ago, 50 minutes ago. And just by looking at the initial price action, like you said, not much has happened. Actually, looking at the live chat, a lot of folks think, oh, is there a data feed problem
Yep.
because my prices aren't moving? Well,
Yep.
over the past 48 hours and really this entire week, we have seen just a tremendous amount of volatility in the
Yeah.
forex and in the shares markets. And you really wonder if the big dogs already priced in their moves for the end of Q3 and the end of the month during earlier in the week. Today, I don't know that I'm expecting a whole heck of a lot price action wise. I'm sort of seeing choppy participation in the futures market, equities futures. The biggest thing I would highlight here is the dollar index is back beneath 113. And when I look at these core PC numbers, core PC price index month over month for August comes in at 0.6%, well above 0.5% expected, and well above 0.1% previous. So, with that, I mean, really, that tells me that the rate hikes aren't working. The tough talk isn't working. And are we going to, in fact, keep going up on the trajectory that Jay Powell and pretty much everybody at the Fed is really just jamming that thought home, saying, hey, we are firmly hawkish. We're going to bring pricing stability in no matter what. We have the tools and the talent. Well, do you? Prices keep rising, and this is August. I mean, these are August readings. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been hiking rates now for
For
six
a while.
months.
Yeah. Yeah. We
So
have.
so
Yeah.
so the impact of the policy clearly is not working on consumer prices. Now, what I will say as far as sentiment goes, we do have a number coming out later today. United States Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index. This used to be a major market mover, primary market mover. Not so much anymore. We have so many economic numbers flying around. It really isn't a red letter day on my calendar. But it's really important to take a look at this number that drops a little bit later today. Now we are on an uptick since July, where we were reading about 51 and a half.
Hmm.
Last two readings have been fairly decent, 58, 59 and a half. Today, we're sort of looking for a hold serve. I would say it's one of those days where you're looking for 59 and a half. We just want it to come in even. We don't want sentiment to slide, because if sentiment slides, then that recession narrative that we've heard repeatedly in the financial media is really going to take off. They're going to go, oh, U.S. consumers are packing it in. The high prices are having an impact. So that's my read on this morning's action. I think that if I was going to pick a direction towards risk, cautiously risk off, realize it's the end of the month. Anything can happen on intraday timeframes given this date on the calendar. But it's going to look to be a choppy session for me. I don't know that we get a directional move.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that PCE number. It is a staircase, and there's just nothing in there that suggests that anything that the Federal Reserve is throwing at the inflation wall is sticking at all. And yet they're all out every single day. Today we have a slew of more Fed speakers out today. Brainard's out today. They're all the
Yeah.
heavyweights, all the big hitters. They're talking every day. What are they doing? Are they just talking, trying to talk inflation down? Because it doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to talk; it's another thing to get the job done. I think I don't know. I can't speak for you, Nick. I was in the camp back in March. I'd say raise rates by 2% right now. Rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get out in front of this because, I mean, inflation's really a strange mechanism. Once it gets going, it's really difficult to bring back in, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of restrictive policy. And we're talking about unwinding the everything bubble. We don't know how to handle a period of unlimited quantitative easing and fiscal stimulus like we've seen. We've never seen anything like the COVID era.
Yeah.
So I think that we're in for a longer haul than most believe. So
It's going to be interesting session to see how the quarter and the month finishes. But just before we get it, we've about 5 minutes now to the US Open. That's going to look as we're just pushing lower on the Dow at the moment. But one thing that we
mhm.
should reference, which is a potential big story, is this situation in Florida, because it is clearly now affecting the orange juice market, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I love commodities. It's commodity season. It's harvest time here in the United States, and oranges are one of the biggest cash crops coming out of Florida. The United States is a top 5 global producer in oranges, and Florida brings about 70% of that gate home every year. Right now, they've been hard hit by the green fungus that's destroyed most of or really a good portion of those crops. The USDA was already ahead of Ian, calling for 55-year lows in yields, in orange yields this year. And now with Ian coming into the equation, it's looking like a very dire situation for OJ. So just looking at an OJ cash contract here, you can see we're up dramatically this
Yeah,
week. Last 2 weeks, we're up
yeah,
about 3% this week. And really, in a key technical area, you can see the triple top
yeah.
that's developed on that weekly chart that's right around 189. And I sort of think that this is real similar to wheat. If we do get traction above this level,
Yeah.
we could be looking at a major bullish break and an opportunity to buy a pullback here in the next 6 weeks or so. So I'm pretty excited about the orange juice market. I think it's a fascinating case study in what a market driver, an external market driver like Ian, can do to a specific market.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, just when you get, it's a tendency for a lot of traders, particularly when they're new, they come from a counter trading point of view. But if you look clearly on the weekly chart of the orange cash contract there, you can see how that those levels from 2016 are now very much in focus. That move to the high in 2016. Look at the way that we've secured into that on well, 3 occasions already. That to me, and it's starting to have that parabolic curve to it. It certainly looks on a big picture like that is going to be a market that's going to break out. And unfortunately, with the news, the way that's now feeding into it, the narrative from Florida, it looks like there's upside now. Certainly in
Yeah,
orange juice.
that's a good point, Nick. I mean, that's a fantastic point. Young traders, they'll look at areas like this, say, "Oh, well, there must be big time resistance up
Yeah,
here."
so you
It's
short take that.
important. It's important to never ignore the trends and understand once that level goes, we need to immediately switch our perceptions and say, "Yeah, it might be time to get long."
Very, very interesting way of looking at it. Okay, so we are now 3 minutes now off the open itself. So what have we got in terms of price action today for the S&P 500? Before we actually do it, we might be a quick note on oil itself. Oil has been pretty decent to trade, just poking to the downside today. We had a very, very nice move up to the resistance 82.44, which we flagged up yesterday, and yeah, that crude oil at the moment certainly moving into a range band play, but contained between that 76 area. I suspect, I don't know how you feel about this about crude oil at the moment, Shane, but certainly at the moment I'm still looking for a rotation back down to 75.
Yeah, I mean, my key level down there is that 78% of the long-term bullish trend that really started right after the Omicron scare in 2021, right after Thanksgiving, and really ran through that Russian invasion of Ukraine. My key level down there is about 76.82. It's been very accurate thus far in that U.S. oil CFD. But I'm sort of in your camp here, Nick. I really believe that we came this far. We're going to at some point wash out and test that 75 level, whether it comes today or tomorrow, the next day, more than likely next week. For me, the biggest question for WTI and U.S. oil right now is, do we get a monthly settlement above 80? I
Yeah,
mean, if think about the dynamic of that, I mean, if we're settling up September's trade going into October, we're already pricing Novi futures, CME Novi crude uh, going into the wintertime, a very robust price. So even though we've seen some relief off of what we saw earlier this year, I'm still fairly bullish, and I think we're starting to talk about an area where we may be able to build a trade, not just for today or tomorrow, but maybe go into next spring with a pretty darn good long. But I'd like to see a wash out of 75 first
yeah,
before we
absolutely.
get there.
Just a couple more moments now until we get the US Open, and just looking at the Dow, well, it's just printing. just pushing now session lows at the moment. So I've just had this horrible feeling with any as we now move into month-end volatility as well. If we get any, it's quite classically at the end of the month in Europe, around about in about half an hour, something like that, we'd expect some kind of uptick as Europe starts to wind down for the month. We'd expect some uptick in volatility. Do you think that we're going to get a particularly volatile end to the stock market today? Do you think?
If I was a bet man, I would say chop. We're going to see
Yeah,
chop it sideways, and there's the bell. So we're off about 80 points, 90 points. So I mean, the bears have it early. This early action really is indicative of what happened overnight in the futures markets. Sort of non-committal, not big, not a big bearish move, not a big bullish move. I would be looking for a whipsaw session, Nick. I think that the big dogs have priced in a lot of what they think over the past 48 hours. And the reason why I say that is those PC numbers were hot. We should have seen some life out of the dollar index, and we just haven't. I mean, you're up on the day. I get that, but you're still beneath 113, and we were bumping up against 115s earlier this week.
yeah,
So I think we settle into sort of a range today. I would be careful. See, I mean, you can already see the whipsaw action. Now we're almost to scratch. So
yeah.
for me, I'm looking for a big nothing burger today. I think the action may have already flew the coop.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of there's a certain sense of irony in that we're kind of looking for where's the volatility going to come from today, as if we've not had enough volatility over the last 2 weeks.
Exactly right.
What more do you want?
That's right. I mean, you get accustomed to things. That's one of the great things about being an active trader, and I guess a human being in general, is we just adapt. We say, "Oh, I guess we're just used to 5,000 pip ranges," and
Yeah.
that's just the way it is.
It's going to be very interesting. Okay, so the US markets are now open. We have had a pretty barnstorming couple of weeks, and it is month end. So clearly, as we move forward into the rest of the session, if it's also a Friday, and we have this old classic phrase, particularly that gets banded around the room as well, which has been a lot of activity in the trading room the last couple of weeks. But we have this mantra, and it is don't participate in Give Back Fridays. There is no need to do it. There's nothing worse than having a good week, having a good trading week, and then giving everything back on a Friday. You don't need to.
No donations. No
It's not a
donations.
charity.
Active trading is a tough enough business as it is. If you find yourself making donations to the market, you won't be around very long. So it's not what you make; it's what you don't lose. I'm call the cliche police today. I mean, Nick, but I'm serious. Don't get it if you're not sure. Don't get involved.
Yeah.
Monday's going to be a great day. Tuesday's going to be a better day. Wednesday's going to be a better day. So
Yeah.
there's always opportunity right around the corner.
In fact, yeah, I think Kelvin's just put Kelvin has a great screen grab that he puts in no donation Friday. So thank you for that, Kelvin. If you are,
Absolutely.
yeah, if you are in watching us on YouTube, please feel free to join in, subscribe to our service, and come and have a look at what we do on an everyday basis, the streams and the content that we put together for all the guys in the room. It is a really good community. We have lots and lots of stuff going on, not least of all our new proprietary trading firm, which is proving very, very popular, Shane.
Yeah, not too bad. We have a couple funded traders that are now in the game, which is fantastic. But I think aside from the funded trader and you get your 50,000 and you pass your evaluation period and go to work as a professional money manager and a prop trader, what we're really excited about is phase one of the academy, and that's going to be dropping either today or early next week. So I want everybody that's in the room keep a close eye on that education section. There's just a tremendous amount of content there. What was it, Nick? It was like 35 videos, 40
Yeah,
videos,
something
somewhere in
like
that
that.
range.
Yeah, it's a real game. Well,
Tremendous.
hopefully it's going to be a game changer that we are both of us, both you, Shane, and myself. We put a lot of work into this. It's going to be a body of work that's going to grow over the next 12 months and really act as a foundation for wherever you are in your trading journey, whether you're completely brand new and you don't know anything about it, or you've been doing it a while and you want to make that transition to be a professional prop trader. It acts as a foundation layer to help people along in that sense.
Yeah, we're excited about the format. Probably one of the best things about this academy is the format. Like I said, it's phase one, and this is sort of a living, breathing organism. So it's one of those deals where, okay, well, I've seen the academy. Well, no, you haven't. Have you seen it this week? Have you seen it this month?
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, and it's really a great way for somebody to come in on the ground floor that doesn't know anything and potentially earn a spot managing money for a firm. And it's also a great spot for somebody who's stuck in a rut and just can't seem to shake the cobwebs and get this thing going in the right direction, to step back from their trading, reevaluate, and work towards that goal of being funded and really making a living in the markets. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have purchasing power. The funded trader program can certainly do that for you, and you have to have knowledge. In the academy, we feel fairly strongly that it's one of the best learning tools that you're going to find.
Yeah, I
So
mean, there's so many people coming to trading with unrealistic expectations. There's none of that with this. It's very much going to. Most people don't actually know how much money it takes to trade successfully for a living. This is where all of that gets solidified, and you get shown exactly how much you need and exactly what it takes to be successful, and actually stand a reasonable chance, and then be given the funds because you need the right size of account to trade for a living.
yeah.
Be given all of that and become part of the firm. It's very, very exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's already bearing fruit. We have a few traders in the live markets today, so I know they know what they're doing. They passed a rigorous evaluation
Yeah.
period, so we're confident that they're going to do very well.
Very well indeed. Right, well, that is it for today. Thank you very much for your company this week and for joining us. I hope you've managed to pull something out of the third quarter. It has been a barnstorming quarter. I've not seen anything like this in a very long time, so it's been very, very exciting to be part of it. Don't forget, Shane will be coming later on in the stream covering the US session, and we will also have full coverage of the non-farm payroll event next Friday on YouTube. We will be all over it and bring you absolutely everything live, all the analysis, all the preamble, all the breakdown. So we will keep you fully in the loop as we go. So please do join us for that. Thank you very much for your time, for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you all very soon.
All right.